everybody, it's your old pal over Metalhead here, coming to you tonight in West Midlands on a really light night because of British summertime and that the sun doesn't go down till later. Anyway, yesterday the sun went down on a man I met many times in the Sydney music metal scene, Brad Dickson of Darker Half. Now we go back to 2009. I had a ticket to see Paul Di'Anno, even though I'm not really much of a fan of Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden, but I just wanted to see him live, and there were other bands like Darker Half, Black Majesty, and they were supporting Paul Di'Anno. So Darker Half caught my eye, and then a couple of months down the track, Darker Half were supporting Queensryche in Sydney. So this was the second time I saw Darker Half, and in the lineup was this guitarist called Brad Dickson, and he was a very talented person, and he was a music teacher. And so a few months later, I was in Canberra. I went to the Australian capital to see my friend's band Forgery, who later became Hellbringer. Now, Forgery were opening up for Darker Half, who would be playing a few sets later. I can't remember who was the headlining band, but it was Halloween 2009. And so as I hung out with the guys in Darker Half, I met the new guitarist Brad Dickson, and I just introduced myself. And so I just said hi to him, and how impressed I was. So then in June 2010, Paul Di'Anno was back in town. I didn't want to see Paul Di'Anno again, so I hung out at the venue, and this is when I said hi to Brad Dickson again. And I was discussing Brad how I don't really like Hillsong Church and all, because I never really got along with them, because at the time I was part of the Catholic Church. And then he said to me, well, I'm a Christian. And so I said, well, what denomination are you Christian? And he says, I don't really care about the denomination, I'm a lover of Jesus. And so that made me think that we all need to brush aside the bollocks of division between Christian faiths and all. I mean, Christian's Christian, if you ask me, no matter if you're Western or Eastern Orthodox. So then, a month later, I was seeing Hellbringer, who they used to be for Forgery, they changed him to Hellbringer. And then Brad told me by the time that he had some personal medical conditions in his life, and so that caused him to become focused and become a Christian and stuff. And then this opened my eyes, how a man has had one moment and this moment in his life has set him on a path to following Jesus for the rest of his life. Now, one time, I also met Brad, and it was at a gig. It was Black Majesty, Darker Half, and Hellbringer. And it was just leaving, I patted Brad on the back, and I was saying, have a good night, Brad, and God bless you, and he's like, thanks, man, and stuff. And at Christmas, that year, I told him a story about one time I was stuck at JFK Airport, and I found this really hedgy looking John cover of a Mark Hurt song, How to Grow Up Big and Strong, and I was telling Brad about this song and stuff, and how it influenced me to go back into religion after being away from the church for 6 weeks and stuff. Because in America, I just didn't go to any church, and I just didn't care. I just was going on holiday. And every time I'd hang out with Brad in before and after Dark Half gigs and stuff, he'd tell me about the time he's travelled, how he went to South Africa with his family many times, and then the time he went to the UK, he had to show a return ticket. Otherwise, I wouldn't let him into the United Kingdom stuff, because the UK is very, really stringent against Australians who do not have British citizenship, unlike me, people who don't have British citizenship and are Australian, they've got to prove that they're not going to work illegally or overstay their 6-month validity. So Darker Half was always a good band I went to see. I believe I saw them about at least 10 times in my life in Australia. But then one time, basically, it was after a gig and stuff, and I was at the Hellbring gig, and Brad was like in this stuff, and he just gave me like I was just sitting down at like a table with somebody else, and he said, give him a sign, and said, just go away and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, I'm being a bit nuisance, and so I did call him on Facebook, then he added me again on Facebook, and then I'd made this discussion saying, oh, Brad, thanks for like welcoming me back. I'm really sorry that I like delayed you like last year and stuff. Hope you're all going well and stuff with this American tour, because Dark Half were touring America. And then I was telling about like Brad that I'm not really that religious, because by the time my life was having sex with escorts and having a religious switch I turned off and stuff. And I left the Catholic Church because, well, what would you rather be doing? Like getting laid, or being involved with having to get married and having children? And so I never got to see Darker Half with Brad again, because he left the band in 2014 for personal reasons and stuff. But like, I would always send him a message on his birthday, just wishing him happy birthday and all. And then Brad was always impressed with the amount of travelling I was doing, and even how I would travel overseas to see my favourite band, Dream Theater. Because when you come to think about it, like, he saw Dream Theater a couple of times, and I was actually at the same concert and all, even though we weren't really like hanging out after the gig and all. So sadly, Brad Dickson left this world yesterday in Australia, aged 37. Yeah, so he was a couple of years older than me, like 3 years older than me and stuff. Yeah, so I feel like really sad that I've like lost a guitarist and a musician who I hung out with many times in my early days of the Australian Sydney heavy metal scene. So I kind of believe that the Darker Half will continue on. But the important thing is that Brad Dickson should always be remembered for all his amazing albums. He was featured on those Darker Half albums. And I got to mention, Brad made his livelihood out of being a guitar teacher. So he taught like people younger than me, the next generation of guitarists, how to play guitar. And it takes a lot of effort in teaching people to play guitar, you know. I mean, these days you think you're going to be like a rock star and stuff, but then it's wise that if you get a teaching degree so you can teach music if your rock star career fails. So, rest in peace, Brad Dickson. You'll always be remembered. May Jesus look after you amongst the pearly gates. Amen.